Hey everyone, it's Types, and today we're taking a look at custom cards designed by you, the viewers, through submitted through my Discord server. And these were submitted in the last month, actually, like within I don't remember when I started this thing. It was the September 13th, looks like. So within the past few weeks, people submitted these custom cards. It's not like there's any prompt or anything, but yeah, I'm just going to take a look at them. There's some really cool ones. And also in my Discord server, you can submit your own custom cards, and there's voting. We're going to play with some of these cards, not sure with how many. But yeah, they're really cool. I've taken a look at some of them, have not looked at all of them, though I haven't actually looked at most. So I'm going to take a look in this video. But yeah, first, this card is by Bad Orny, yeah, or BAD. Not exactly sure how to say the name, but this is Hatterene EX here, and it has its ability Magician, which says as long as this Pokemon is in the active position, it has every ability any of your opponent's Pokemon has. Wow, that's really interesting. And then has this Attack Imprison 110 during your opponent's next turn. Their Pokemon can't use any attacks any of your Pokemon have. This is really interesting. Obviously, I don't know how good this would be. It seems like it could be broken, but it only is broken in based on like what your opponent's doing, right? So if your opponent has like lots of immunity abilities, then you could just be immune to all their Pokemon. They probably hit through though, but it certainly could be really powerful. I don't know exactly what this would do, but it seems really interesting. And then the attack here is obviously damage, nothing special, but this is theoretically really good. I don't know if this would be too good. Like you could just play lots of different Pokemon that you have lots of different attacks that are meta attacks, like Charizard EX or Dragapult EX or stuff like that, and then you could just like rare anyone to play. You don't even need to attack with it, but that is a lot of like deck spacing, kind of awkward to do. It's definitely a really interesting attack here. It's like a little awkward to pay as well. It's not super hard, but it's not super easy either. You can't use Sparkling Crystal. It's not a Terra, so this card's really fun. Don't know if it'd be too good, but it's really unique in its ideas here. Then the next one here we have is Galarian Slowking, again by Bad Orny, and this one has no, this is like a little small. I don't know why some of the cards are small, but it is a water Pokemon. It's a Terra water Pokemon. Yeah, that one wasn't Terra. Yeah, no, it wasn't. So this is a Terra water Pokemon, and its ability False Doctor, as long as it's in the active, your opponent's bench Pokemon can be affected by special conditions, and your opponent's active Pokemon don't recover from special conditions when moving to the bench. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. And then you have the Curious Medicine here for Darkness Colorless, which is really interesting, kind of expensive, but all your opponent's Pokemon are now poisoned. This is kind of cool. It's kind of weird. Like you can't attack, so you poison them, then you need to kind of wait, and you can maybe Gust trap something. I feel like that's the idea here. It's a little weird. Galarian Slowking can't use Dark Patch. We are looking at these within the context of Standard, so can't use Dark Patch here because it is Terra Water, but it is definitely an interesting concept to have special conditions on the bench. I don't know exactly how this would like interact with certain cards, but it's really cool. And also like the poisoning, it's not that much damage, right? So presumably, I don't know the wording of like certain things that increase poison. I don't know if it's their benched or they're just their active. Obviously, that doesn't really matter, but definitely a really interesting card here with again like this unique ability that I don't know how it would work exactly. Like it's, I mean, it does exactly what it says it does, but it's definitely an interesting concept. And then we have, and interesting is good as well. This isn't like interesting as in like, oh, what do I say? No, interesting. These are really cool cards. These next cards are going to be by Clyde, and this one says it's a Stage 2 Dusknoir EX, which of course Dusknoir has a good evolution line in Standard, and your ability here, Haunting Souls, put a Stage 1 Pokemon from your discard pile onto your bench. That Pokemon cannot attack and can only use abilities unless it evolves. That's interesting. I don't know exactly how you keep track of that. I mean, like I know how you could, like there are ways to do that theoretically, but that's just something we don't see. But again, it's a really unique ability here. Um, I'm trying to think of what you use this for. Like there are lots of uses though. You have like the barrel. I'm trying to think if there's anything broken, but I mean it's a stage 2 EX, so you could get the stage 1 in play by that point anyways. This ability is really interesting, and it is quite good with the Dusclops as well. You recover the Dusclops and then just use its abilities to knock stuff out. But I don't think it would be broken with that either. Then a Lost Souls is your attack here for Psychic Colorless. It does 50 damage for each bench Pokemon discarded. Oh, so you choose the amount of bench Pokemon you discard. I assume from your bench. And then 50 for each. So that's like solid. It's actually very strong. So we saw this with like Serena V, I believe, and that was good. that's not in standard, but it's a similar concept, but it is a basic. This is quite good with Area Zero under depths, but then if you have too many, like if you discard all your bench Pokemon, then you get knocked out, you just like lose. I think this is kind of interesting. Has a little like doesn't really have great synergy with the Dusclops Dusknoir line. Has anti-synergy, which I don't feel like is like intentional. Maybe it is. Certainly, anti-synergy is something that can be interesting. But yeah, this Dusknoir is a cool card. I feel like it wouldn't have to be on like Dusknoir. I don't feel like there's like Dusknoir is just such a one of the defining evolution lines in standard right now. I feel like it would make a little more sense on another Pokemon, but this is a really cool card. Then we have I specifically like the ability. The attack's like fine. We've certainly seen attacks like this before, but though they are interesting when they show up, but the ability is really unique. And we have Snorlax EX here, which is the stage. This is kind of weird. Oh, someone said that this card can't work because there are no Munchlax in standard. So for the like voting and stuff, I guess we just like make up some Munchlax or something. But it's a stage one, which is kind of weird because it's like Snorlax, but has 2 HP here. Lazy Munching for 2 colors, 100. Discard your opponent's active Pokemon and your Pokemon tool. Is this from your Pokemon, I think? And this Pokemon is now asleep. Do you need to discard a tool? I'm a little confused by Oh no, it's both your opponent's active and your. Okay, that's so I feel like I should say from each active, but you discard tools from each, and then it's now asleep. This is fine. Certainly thematic for Snorlax. Nothing crazy there. And then we have Free Fall for 4 colors for 170 during this Pokemon. Sorry, if this Pokemon is recovered from a sleep this turn or during Pokemon checkup. This Pokemon does 120 damage to 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. This is pretty interesting. I think it's a little weird. I think if it's asleep in the active and you switch it out, switch it back in, I think it doesn't. How does that work? Does that work? I feel like it should, but I feel like because like effects or attacks are removed, it's kind of weird. But I don't know if that like stays on or not. I guess it's not an effective attack. Anyways, it might just be like a Pokemon state thing. But yeah, this is pretty interesting. Expensive, but not like unpayable either. It is all colorless, and really powerful if you do attack with this. This is not my favorite card so far, but it's not a bad card. It's a really fun card as well. Of course, playing with like the idea of Snorlax and sleep, which we see a bunch. Yeah, we see it on like most Snorlaxes. I think Block Snorlax also has sleep. Then we have Iron Moth EX again from Clyde. How many of these are from? Okay, so Iron Moth here. Again, I don't know why some of these are blurry. It's definitely how I open them in Discord. But yeah, Iron Moth EX, which is a future, does not have an EX yet either. Definitely a fun Pokemon that I like, but 210 HP, and then constant flame bursting. Of course, it is a future Pokemon as well, but 50 for 2 fire. And if you knock out a Pokemon with this attack, take another turn. You cannot use this attack during the following turn. This is cool. Might theoretically be. No, I don't think it's problematic. This is a really fun attack here. It almost feels like Iron Hands EX with like the really powerful upside and essentially taking extra prizes with the attack. The attack cost is a little weird for it's not unpayable by any means. It's very payable, but it's not something you'll be teching in to like future box probably. It doesn't fit super nicely in there, which is good because it has a high attack cost. Or sorry, not a high attack cost. It has a really high upside with the attack, but continues lava flow for fire for a colorless 100 if you have a future Pokemon tool attached to this Pokemon, which I assume is like Future Booster Energy Capsule, that's the only one, you may attack twice. And then if you do discard the Pokemon tool, this is cool. It fits pretty thematically with some other cards. Like there are other cards that discard the tool. And again, has similar like aspects. It's like doubling up. This is really fun. Attacking twice is cool. I think you discard the tool after you attack, I'm assuming. So you do 100 twice, 120 twice in a row, which is pretty cool. Or you maybe just do 100 twice in a row. I'm not sure on that one, but this is fun. Fire is definitely a type that is mediocre in standard right now. Well, no, it's kind of bad to be honest. I mean, Charizard EX is really good, but that's not fire. It uses fire energy, but it's not fire type Pokemon. But Iron Moth EX is definitely a really, really cool Pokemon. It kind of fits in a similar vein to like Entei Gouging Fire EX with these basic fire Pokemon that have solid damage, except this card, instead of having solid damage, is more techy, kind of like how Iron Hands EX kind of is a part of the Miraidon deck. It's part of other decks, of course, as well, but it's like a part of the Miraidon deck, but it's not doing that solid damage output. It's doing okay damage, but it's there for more like kind of techy situations. Then we have Lilligant EX, and this is a Terra as well. It is a metal Terra type, and it has its ability Growing Seed. If this Pokemon is in the active, all of your grass Pokemon get 20 more HP. This is quite quite solid. It's not insane. I mean, it's kind of weird. No, this is a weird ability. It's like it's cool. It's a little weird. It doesn't heal it. It doesn't like give itself more HP, and then like giving your bench Pokemon more HP, but only while this is on the active is kind of weird. Like I feel like if they're gonna knock it out, they'll boss it up, and then it doesn't have the bench Pokemon don't have more HP. Um, and then you have this. Let's see the attack here. Growing Life, 160 for 3 grass. It does 20 more damage for each of your Pokemon to play with an HP increase. Okay, that's kind of interesting. Um, I feel like you just like fill up your bench, and then you have 8 bench Pokemon, and they're all grass, and then you just hit for an extra 80 damage, which is 240. I feel like this is a little like simple. I don't know if simple is the right word. Certainly it's the attack is something that's not like super complicated or super simple. But it's like, oh, you just want to get a bunch of grass Pokemon on your bench. And then I feel like the ability doesn't have that much value here. Like it has some value again, specifically Dragapult EX, as well as other spread decks, and it's quite good there. Um, the attack is interesting, but I feel like it would be more interesting if it didn't have this ability that instantly enabled it. There are I don't know, this Cricketune, is that in standard? I really just have not played grass in like a long time because it's kind of bad. Well, I played like TMS Fogerpon EX, but I've not played like Torterra. I feel like there are some ways to increase grass HP, but this would be cooler in decks, in like a deck where um I'd say this Pokemon should say I feel like it would make a little more sense each Pokemon with like or maybe each grass Pokemon. It could be each grass or any Pokemon with the grass energy attached to it gets 20 more HP. This does not need to be in the active. Then it can stack as well. And then if you have multiple Lilligant EXs in play, and then you can get some interesting things going on there, where now your active Pokemon actually gets more HP and gets more value from the HP buff. Again, this is useful with like for countering Dragapult specifically. Yeah, not like a ton to say about that card, but some. Then we have Manaphy EX. This one is has 190 HP, which I could even see it being lower. I don't know what like maybe this is like the right. It's all like just custom cards, but yeah, 190 HP here. And then Wishing Well, if you have a Water Energy attached to this Pokemon, prevent all effects, all damage counters and effects from your opponent's active Pokemon to your bench Pokemon. Okay, so this is like this is bench barrier. Plus more, but then it needs water on. This is a cool ability where it's like um I don't know, it's like Rabsca, right? It's not is it the same as Rabsca? I think it is. So I don't think you need to say damage count because that would be effects from, and I think it's effects from attacks. Does this also stop effects of abilities? I don't know. It kind of seems like it does. The one isn't like perfect here, but yeah, this is it's like Manaphy, right? But it's an EX and it has like it does more, but also it you need a water energy, but you could very easily like want to play this in a deck like Dragapult EX or something to protect your bench. You could fit a water energy in there somehow and then get this upside and then like maybe a deck like Charizard EX where you can kind of accelerate energies to your own attacker. So I think this Manaphy EX is a really fun card. Definitely a simpler card, but it's like Rabsca, but it's a basic, so you can actually get into play turn one, and Dragapult EX isn't just obliterating everything. Then we have Roaring Moon, and this Roaring Moon here has this ability Ancient Turbo. If this Pokemon, if you put this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench and have an ancient Pokemon in play, search for 2 basic energies and attach them to any ancient Pokemon, which I believe could be itself. This is an EX as well. It is a Dragon EX, and its attack for Fire, Darkness, Colorless does 250. This is certainly expensive, but very payable with Roaring Moon EX as well. It's also interesting to know it is on obviously Roaring Moon EX, which we have a good Roaring Moon EX in Standard as well. So this is a cool card here. Nothing too crazy. I feel like this is fun. This is a card that I very much could see being in Standard, where you could just like it leans into the turbo elements of the ancient box style deck as well, or just the different ancient decks like Roaring Moon EX, Regibolt EX. I don't know, it might be too good, but I feel like it's not too good. Like the things it allows you to do are things you could do anyways, and you can't nest ball it. So I feel like this card's pretty fair. In terms of its type, like I don't know. I guess these are the types it's supposed to use. I don't really know what types it should. Obviously, it should use darkness because Roaring Moon uses darkness. Maybe fire has to be the other type, and that does work with some of the ancient Pokemon, but not like you're never attacking this in Raging Bull EX. But definitely a cool card for ancient decks. Then we have Metagross EX. I will say this is like kind of bordering on too good. It's very like easy to see how good this is, and it is quite good. Then we have Metagross EX here with which there, of course, there's the Metang that accelerates energy, which is very much something we need to consider for this card, I'm assuming. But 340 HP, and it has, oh, it also is weak to fighting, resistance to water. I don't exactly know. That could also be a mistake, or that could be intentional. But yeah, it's not weak to fighting and resisting grass. But 3 metal, constant stopping 120 at the end of your opponent's next turn. The I think it should say your opponent's active Pokemon takes 120 more damage. Okay, that's pretty cool. Obviously they want us to retreat. We've seen things kind of like that, but it's usually like they instantly get knocked out when it doesn't do anything up front. Oh no, there is there's that like weird Victory Bell, I think, which is very similar to this. So yeah, I do like this theoretically. I think on Victory Bell, which I think is the Pokemon it's on, it's like really boring because like, I mean, who wants to be playing Victory Bell for 3 energy on stage 2? But then we have Metallic Rumble for 5 metal, and it does 340 to discard all energy attached to this Pokemon. Pretty simple attack there. Obviously, this works very well with the Metang, but that's a little inconsistent, but definitely a really fun card here. And I really like evolution lines where multiple Pokemon within the evolution line are good. I might make a video on that at some point, but I love this Metagross. We've got Shiftry EX, which is a dragon here. It's a Terra Dragon for Grass Darkness. It does 220, and your ability, if you evolve this Pokemon to your hand during this turn, and you have the energy requirements for the speed/attack, switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon when they're active. That's interesting. You need the energy on first, and then it's Gusting, a very unique ability. Well, the Gusting isn't very unique, but this like requirement is really unique, and I do like it. I mean, Shiftry and like Grass, like this is like a in terms of the actual like attack, it's obviously very generic, but it is a cool card. Then we have Milotic EX. This is again by yeah, there's just 2 more by who's this by Clyde. So you have Milotic EX, which is a Terra Fire Pokemon, which I think there was a Milotic that was Fire before as well, which is kind of cool. I don't know if it's specifically a callback to that or not, but as long as this Pokemon is on your bench, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks, both yours and your. Oh yeah, that's the Terra thing. I don't know why I was reading that. But really, Aqua Blessings, if your Pokemon has water and energy attached to it, that Pokemon does 20 more damage. I assume it's any, and then I assume it stacks. Not like if you have multiple water energies, but if you have multiple Milotic EXs, then Magnificent Beauty, 220 for the Water Colorless. It cannot attack next turn. This is interesting. Certainly solid. Can be hitting very solid damage. I don't know exactly what you'll be pairing this with. Maybe like Palkia, original form Palkia V-Star. Could be your Terra for Area Zero Underdepths as well. So I feel like that's probably the combo you're looking at. If you look at other good water Pokemon, it's like Chimp Excalibur, and there you don't need this. Milotic EX doesn't really do too much. It's not like completely terrible, but not particularly good either. But I feel like this with like Palkia is interesting. You need to accelerate before you evolve. There's some interesting things going on. There's also a Milotic EX recently revealed, I believe, after this card was submitted, presumably, but and there are some other cool Milotics in Standard as well, so this is definitely a fun card. Then we have Iron Jugulis EX. Iron Jugulis is one of my favorite Pokemon from Gen 9, and it's 230 HP colorless, and search your deck for 2 special energy and put them into your hand. That's interesting. Is this once every turn? I think this is once per turn. I don't know if it's on play. I think it's once per turn. But discard any amount of special energy cards from your hand or attached to any of your Pokemon. And then for each special energy discarded, it does 20 damage to any of your opponent's Pokemon. Does this, can you like split this up? I always get confused by attacks like this, but can you split this up? I'm not sure. This is cool. I don't know if you can also choose, there's some like kind of weird wording things that I feel like aren't clear, but like, I don't know if you can discard from hand and in play, but definitely a cool attack here. The future Pokemon right now aren't really special energy focused at all. Not that you can't get value out of that, but oh, yes, that's not exactly true. Iron Hands EX is specifically attacking with Legacy Energy sometimes within Lugia, but generally not too much special energy stuff going on here. But adding another layer to Future, which has been okay. I feel like the Future Pokemon have been okay, but to me, a little disappointing compared to the Ancient Pokemon, which have been really strong. This Iron Jugulis EX is definitely a cool card, though. Then this card is from down. There are a few from down here. And this card is Scope Lens. It's a tool. And when an attack used by this Pokemon is also a... Wait, when an attack used by this Pokemon and is also from that Pokemon can damage a bench... wait, what am I reading? It can damage a bench Pokemon. You can now... Um, sorry, I'm confused reading this, which I've been like confused reading cards in the past. So an attack used by this Pokemon is also from that Pokemon. You can damage a benched Pokemon. You can do an additional 20 to each attack in this way. The the Pokemon attacked must be from the bench. So this is saying, wait, when an attack used by this Pokemon, I think this is, it's saying like you hit the bench and the active, maybe. I'm a little confused by this card. But yeah, I'm a little confused by the wording here. I'm definitely confused by it. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not exactly sure what this one does. So I'll get clarification from that later on. Um, Then the next card though is Unlucky Stamp here. This is supposedly a more like funny card, and it's an ace spec. You can only play this card if you had taken it as one of your face down prize cards. Your opponent must select a card from their hand and put it into their prize cards. If your opponent does this, you may flip a coin. If heads, your opponent must select another card to put into the prize cards in their hand, and they cannot be recovered. This is funny, kind of annoying. This is like kind of insane as well, like forcing cards into your opponent's prizes. That's like super good, but this is like a funny card. I don't think it's one I necessarily want to play with, but it is a funny card. Then we have Super Gauntlet, again by down, and this says the attacks used by the Stage 1 Pokemon this card is attached to do 80 more damage. However, for each Pokemon your opponent has in play, it does 10 less damage. This is interesting, again, a tool, and this can do, I don't know if like they have, well, yeah, they could have 9 Pokemon in play. So I don't know if that would reduce damage you're doing, but anyways, that's unlikely. So this is really solid potentially. It's like kind of insane against certain decks, but I mean not that many decks like Iron Thorn TX and maybe Snorlax. But this is well then you probably don't need the extra damage. This is a cool card though. Kind of like I don't know. There are some cards like kind of similar to, but not that similar. This is definitely a card that I feel like would be fun to play with. Then we have Powered Boomerang Energy. This is another race spec, special energy. We choose one of these effects when attacking, and it says this card counts as 2 colorless, or it counts as one of any type. And if an effect one of your attacks were to discard this energy, you may reattach it to that Pokemon. That's cool. I feel like this is, I mean, it's kind of like Legacy Energy. It's really solid, really versatile. I feel like the Boomerang thing is like kind of unrelated. Like it is kind of cool, useful with certain Pokemon certainly, but yeah, the double either being a double colorless or a Rainbow Energy is really cool here, with a lot of versatility on Special Energy. Right now we have 2 Special Energy Ace Spec cards in Standard. We got Legacy Energy, which is like cool, but it has 2 different elements that are really completely disconnected, just like this card. But the one is like a normal special energy thing, which is really strong, and then the other thing is the prize thing, and then you have Neo Upper Energy, which is just like kind of bad. It's not completely useless, but it's not great. And we have Deoxys here with its ability to Genetic Glance. Each of your evolved Pokemon in play can use any ability from its previous evolutions. This seems insane. I don't know if it's broken, but it seems really good. And then it says you may place 1 damage counter on one of your opponent's Pokemon for 80, or for 2, that does 80. Pretty straightforward with an attack there. I think it can do like 90 to the active as well. So kind of cool there. But the ability, this is really interesting. Potentially broken. I don't know. I don't know if this is broken. I don't know the implications of this. This is definitely like the embodiment of a custom card, kind of like the Hatterene EX as well at the beginning, with some pretty crazy stuff going on here, with like weird abilities that create weird abilities. But this Deoxys seems really, really fun. Then we got Ampharos EX. This one here has it's a Terra Grass, and it says for Lightning Cotton Spore, discard an energy from this Pokemon. If you do, you may take another turn. If you use Cotton Spore in your previous turn, it can't attack this turn. This is interesting. Again, another like extra turn thing, which you can't have like a bunch of extra turn things, or else you'll just like switch back and forth between the extra turn things and just take infinite turns. So what was the other one before? It was the Iron Moth. So you could like Iron Moth and then like Ampharos EX, then Iron Moth EX, then Ampharos EX, and just like take all your turns. But Cotton Spore, this is like a solid attack. Nothing. I mean, it's interesting. Obviously, getting like just taking an extra turn is nice. Then we have Thunder here for 2 lightning, 90. Discard any amount of basic energy from your Pokemon. This attack does 90 damage for each card you discarded in this way. This is a pretty solid, pretty generic attack, but certainly solid as well. The first attack is really interesting. Giving you an extra turn is powerful, allowing you to like do extra supporters, attach extra energy cards, but then also it's not giving you like any extra value. It's not like you do damage, which a lot of the extra turn cards are. You do damage, so definitely a really fun first attack there. Nothing like super crazy. This is a card I could see being printed, but it is a cool card. Then we have Calming Charms, another another tool here, which says as long as the Pokemon this card is attached to is in the active, your opponent's Pokemon in play with the name Okidogi, Pheasantipti, Munkidor, or Pekkaron have no abilities. Is this only these? That's what it sounds like. It doesn't apply to the EXs. I don't know, but if the Pokemon this tool is attached to is damaged by an attack, you must discard this tool. This is interesting. It's very good against like Munkidori. I feel like that's like this specific thing it's targeting. Pheasantipti is kind of annoying as well. Pekkaron is like kind of useless. It's like arguably out. It's arguably like not a card. It's very strange, but or not. It's like not out everywhere, which is kind of weird. But that will be coming out in the main set, the last set of the year, this year. But yeah, definitely, good against Munkidori, which is a very good card. I feel like that's like the only reason why this card exists is like I don't like a Munkidori, which is fair. I also kind of find it annoying. Then we have Toxicroak EX here, which has 260 HP and this ability, take your losses. Any Pokemon in play with an ability or move, I guess, attack that mentions prize cards no longer has that effect. Secondary effects of attacks do nothing and abilities are shut off. Okay, so this is like stopping. I'm trying to wait. So would this make but this would mean you could like Dust Snore and then like. Oh no, it doesn't say it gives a prize card. It just knocks itself out. This is kind of interesting. I don't know the implications of this. It could be like super broken, but it could be cool as well. But then we have Potent Diamond Claws, which is another stellar attack here for water fighting darkness. 50 times for each poison counter on your opponent's active. Kind of interesting, synergistic with some cards, but nothing super crazy. The ability is like, I don't know the implications. It could be like super broken. There's some things it counters, which is like kind of cool, but I don't know how good this would be. It might be super broken. Like you'd put like Luxurious Cape on all your Pokemon, but or all your like non-EXs, but that's interesting. It might be too good. Not sure. We have Hisuian Zoroark or Hisui Zoroark EX, which just would need to say evolves from Hisuian Zoroark because there is no Hisui. Anyway, the ability Odor Sleuth. The weakness of each opponent's psychic Pokemon in play is now colorless and fighting. That's pretty interesting. And then you apply it 2 times. This is a little weird because they also resist fighting, so that's kind of weird. But but colorless weakness is cool and something obviously we don't see. Then Dark Pulse for 3 colorless does 110. If your opponent's active is an EX or V, just 140 more. The ability is interesting. The attack is pretty straightforward, but again also cool. Definitely a fun card. We got Snorlax from Hanzi, and this one has its ability, Sharing is Caring. Once during your turn, you may discard a Leftovers card from your hand. If you do, draw 2 cards. You can't use more than one Sharing is Caring ability each turn. This is interesting with the other Snorlax, which recovers Leftovers as this like engine for a few basic Pokemon on your bench, and then you do 100 for 3. Pretty straightforward, but definitely a card that is kind of fun. Then we have Revival Pod by Moxie Dexter. And this one says you can only use this if you discard another card from your hand. And it's an item. A-Spec, put a Pokemon from your discard pile onto your bench. If the Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn, you may attach it as many energy from it. To it from your discard pile as it had attached when it was knocked out. This is kind of cool. I just kind of like read it and didn't like synthesize the information. So this is interesting. It's a little weird. I don't know if it's like technically the same Pokemon, so it might like never work, but obviously like you get the idea. This is pretty solid. It's just like a comeback card. It's like, oh, you thought you knocked out. No, you didn't. And just the energy, but definitely a cool card with like Dragapult EX or maybe that wouldn't play. I'm trying to think of a good example. But there are definitely Pokemon that are a lot of setup in which you get knocked out. You're really sad. This allows you to recover that. Definitely a cool A-Spec here. Then we have Regidraco EX by Vespersky. And its ability Draconic Call, which is a little hard to read the ability name here, but once during your turn, also it's a basic EX with 240 HP. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for Dragon Pokemon, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck. You can't use more than one of this ability per turn. Obviously good with Regidraco V-Star. Then Dragon Energy, which is Grass, Fire, Colorless, 200. It does 10 less for each damage counter on this Pokemon. You could just actually use this as an attacker in Regidraco V-Star turn 1. Then lastly, by Vespersky, we got Mew, which has its ability Genetic Guard, prevent all effects of abilities from your opponent's Pokemon done to your bench Pokemon. This is kind of interesting. I don't know what it's there for like Dustorn and stuff. It's definitely a cool card, very weak. It does have free retreat 40 HP though, it's very low. And Psychic 20 for 1 Psychic. For each energy attached to your opponent's active. Pretty straightforward attack there. Definitely a cool card with utility and nothing super complicated there. I do like this card a lot, but I hope you enjoyed the video. Consider liking, subscribing, hitting the bell, all that good stuff. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video. Also, join the Discord server so you can vote, and then you can play with these cards once we're gonna do that at some point, which will be cool. It might be it's gonna be a little messy and complicated, but it will be cool.